And more than anything else, we wanted to have fun. You know, and if nothing else, we did that.
Right.
We had a real good time. There was a lot of laughing.
Yeah.
A lot of camaraderie, and I hope that shows, because it really was a lot of fun.
Very good, very good. Now it's being released through Star City, which is that a label that was formed specifically for this project?
Well, it should have been. No, Star City is run by Jeff Glixman,
mm-hmm.
and Jeff was the producer for Leftoverture and that whole early period, the Kansas heyday.
Right.
He was actually a member of the original band back in the day.
He's produced a number of other important records too. Sure.
Yeah, Jeff actually did some time as the tour manager for Kansas.
Oh, did not know. That's interesting.
But way back then.
Mm-hmm.
Then when the band started to go in different directions, Jeff went off and produced some really big acts and became a very well respected producer in his own right. And I can't remember exactly when it was that Jeff struck this deal up with Star City. It's up in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. Wonderful facility. It was in the top 5 of Mix Magazine's studios one year. Just a remarkable to say that he's got Mutt Lange's old SSL board that he recorded all the Shania stuff on. It's just really wonderful facility. And Phil, once we got this stuff kind of hammered halfway into shape, took it up to Jeff and said, "What do you think of it?" And Jeff said, "I kind of dig it, actually." And that's where Jeff's involvement came in Star City, and we needed a label. I mean, it's virtually impossible to get. Well, no, it's not impossible. A lot, actually, people do it all the time, but it's difficult, much more difficult to make these things happen without the aid of a label.
Right. Now, in this day and age, with the internet being what it is it more of a benefit or more of a drawback for a band in your position to try and use the internet to do anything? I mean, versus putting out physical product. How did the thought process work of releasing physical product versus maybe just a download-only type record?
I'm not really sure. I've never really done either. I'm just a fiddle player, and the whole marketing aspect of things. I mean, I know there are benefits to doing the. Are you speaking as a band that is doing it on their own as opposed to a band that's doing it with a label?
Right, or even deciding whether it was still relevant to release a physical CD. You know what I mean? Since people are doing so much download stealing of product anyway. I mean,
a physical CD still holds a lot of attraction to an awful lot of people. They want something in their hands,
Right.
And the physical CD, you can sell that at shows. I know there are other people that could care less. They download it and put it on their iPod, and that's the end of it. They get the artwork and everything.
Right.
Right off the internet. But there are other people that want to hold it in their hands,
Right. Yeah, interesting. So how does it work to rehearse for a tour when you're in both bands? Do you have 2 rehearsals and just say, "Okay, Steve, you can leave now," or
well, it works out real great, and Native Window gets a rehearsal hall for cheap.
Yeah, that's interesting. How did you go about deciding what songs to play in the set? Or are you playing the whole record?
No, we're playing most of it. What are we doing? 7 songs, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And we went with the more. It's real obvious what you would play live, actually.
Right.
You keep it as up and energetic as you can, and those were the tunes that stuck out. The ones that we're doing.
Right. And now everybody has said from day one that Steve was okay with this.
Oh, he was fine with it. I mean, he had his solo project that he had been working on, and he and Carrie both are about the same as and I don't think Steve would be interested in doing a pop record.
Right.
You know, he's just not that kind of it doesn't hold much interest for him.
Gotcha. Is he going to continue to write in the future at all, or is he essentially retiring?
I hope so. He and Carrie both are just extremely talented writers. I would love to see at some point the next Kansas album.
Right.
I would love to see that. I hope they each have many more of their, brilliant moments.
Right.
They're very good at it.
But yeah, absolutely. I want to talk a little bit about the Freaks of Nature record, which tends to be a little bit of an overlooked record in the canon, overall. What was that whole period of time like?
Oh gosh, very creative.
It's a great record.
Yeah, well, it was a lot of fun. It was tumultuous a little bit. There was a lot of the, giving and taking of the ideas, and there were some slightly not bad, but slightly heated moments, but it was still very serious and very creative, and gosh, it's hard to remember. It was like 94, 95, something like that.
Something like that, yeah.
Well, we took it down to Trinidad. Jeff Glixman produced the record, and he came across this studio, the Caribbean Sound Basin down in Trinidad, and we took it down there, and golly, I was down there for 7 weeks, I think.
Wow.
And crafted this, through a kind of a tedious, sort of slow process, but hammered it out, and there it was.
That was your first studio recording with the band, is that right?
Yes. Well, we did the Live at the Whiskey thing, but that wasn't a studio effort. So yes, that was my only real studio.
Oh, right. Yeah, the project since then have been mostly live. I guess that's right.
Yeah.
Interesting. That was back before Steve was sort of had his head together. Did that play into those sessions at all?
I'm sorry, what was that?
That was back before Steve had gotten straight and sort of had his head together better. Did that play into those sessions at all?
Oh, I'm sure it did. There was. It always does, and Steve wasn't the only one who imbibed, as it were. He wasn't alone in that.
Okay.
And it plays a role. I mean, substance abuse is substance abuse, and it for all who partake, it plays a role and a factor, and sometimes it's a good thing, but more often it's not.
Right. This played actually a bigger role than maybe is widely understood in the career of Kansas and the comings and goings of people.
Or in any band, for that matter. I mean, substance abuse has a history in. I mean, you could go back and ask, most of the jazz guys back in the 40s about that as well as me. I mean, it plays a big role.
What is
good and bad.